I'd like to call a meeting of the Dare County Board of Elections to order. Please welcome everyone. I'm glad you could be with us today, whoever's out there. We have one board member who will be a little bit late. I think she's had a procedure, a surgical procedure of some type, and probably, I hope she's not trying to walk over here. But anyway, the first order of business is our Pledge of Allegiance, if you'll join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I don't believe we have any new business or old business today. So the first item of new business is the approval of our minutes of December 4th. Trust everyone's had a chance to look at that. That was a while back. And I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes, please.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from December 4th.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
No.
I didn't have anything myself. Okay, then all those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, the minutes are approved. And today we have the representative for ES&S. Tom, I didn't get your last name. Genesek. Genesek. Nice to meet you, and glad you could be with us today. And I'd like to go ahead and, Kelly, did you have anything you wanted to introduce on this?
No, Mr. Janicek is here from ES&S. He's going to give us some presentations on some of the newer upgrades to the equipment, to the voting equipment. So, and we can talk about that afterwards. You've got quotes in front of you for, different combinations of voting equipment. But I think for now, we'll just let him present the different pieces, and then we can talk about it afterwards.
Okay. All right. Tom?
All right. Well, first of all, good morning. I am Tom Janicek. I actually work for a company called Printellect. Printellect is a family-owned company down in Newbern, North Carolina. We're an old family company. Actually, my boss is the great-grandson of our founder, Owen G. Dunn, who founded our company in 1902. And after this last election, I feel like I've worked every year of that, as we all do. But anyway, I'll first before I get started, I'll tell you a little bit about Printellect, a little about ES&S. We represent election system software in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. We have 93 counties in North Carolina, 94. We have all of 46 counties in South Carolina we take care of. And we have in Virginia, I want to say probably about 75 to 80% of the registered voters in Virginia vote on our equipment also. And I'll tell you a little bit about ES&S in just a second. Printellect, we are a full-service company for ES&S. We sell the equipment, we make the equipment, we code your elections, we print your ballots, we're turnkey. We also sell election supplies and election products you have for your precincts. We're also a very large ballot printer, one of the largest on the East Coast. We have a facility in Garner, North Carolina, and one in Newbern, North Carolina. This last election, I think we printed just a little over 30 million ballots. And we do not only ES&S ballots, we do other companies also, and we print all over the country. We're a very blessed company. We're not a very big company though. We have around 75 employees, so we're not real big. But we are a company that has been thriving for many years. I'm going on my 25th year working with Printellect and Owen Andrews. When I first started with him, I didn't realize the pressures of this business I had here when I first started. But anyway, with that being said, we have really been blessed with the company. And before we get started, I want to say one thanks to the board here, and that is, thank you. Thank you for your business. We really do appreciate it. We don't take it for granted. We're not a perfect company, but we work hard to solve any issue that may come around at any time. Anytime Kelly needs something, she knows she can call me on my bat phone at any time to take care of any issue that may happen in this county. But I want to say thank you for your business. We really do appreciate it. We never take any of our customers for granted. Your success is our success. I've been saying this for almost 25 years now, doing presentations. My biggest goal here today is to keep your rear ends out of the newspaper on Wednesday morning after an election. That is so true. And we work together. We have to work together. We have a great relationship with the State Board of Elections. We maintain a great relationship with the EAC. We maintain a great relationship, of course, with ES&S. And we do appreciate it so much. A little about ES&S. They've been around for almost 50 years now. Started off with originally the BRC company. ES&S is the largest U.S.-owned manufacturer equipment in North America. They are a company out of Omaha, Nebraska. They're privately owned. They do have a few U.S. investors, but Michael McCarthy is the main owner of ES&S. He's been doing this for a long time. Michael has done a fantastic job. One thing about it is they have a great relationship with the EAC and work with the EAC and stand update of the EAC. It's one of the reasons why we're going to show you the upgrade from the DS200 to the 300. Some of you folks are probably aware that the EAC has now the 2.0 voting systems been put in place now. And that's about maybe really one thing is about when you go into 2.0 with the voting guidelines, it's about security. And that's our number one issue nowadays with all equipment, right? Software, we talk about hardware. Of course, you know, in this state, our software and the computer we use in your county here is closed in, which means it never can be connected to the internet. We've taken off all the hardware, firmware, and software off that computer, so it can be never connected to the internet to keep it totally secure within your office. So anyway, real quick here, you've had the DS200 now, what, about 7 years now?
Maybe a little longer, I'm not
Eight or
sure.
so? Okay, and they're working great. There's no down the road, looking at possibly making any changes in the state right now, but we have now 5, going on 6 counties, with about a half a dozen more that go to DS300. And I'll talk about that probably first before I get into the actual, talking about the express vote. A couple things about what you have now. You are running on a software that's fixing to become, I'll say decertified, that's what I'll probably use. But Unity has been used actually in the state since 2006. It's an antiquated software. It doesn't have the security aspects of electionware that we have internally in the office. So it also runs our most updated equipment. There'll be a couple of options for you as far as that's concerned. One of the options would be that you would actually go to what is called electionware 5240, which is your next upgrade, which puts you actually in a Windows 7's environment. But what it is, a very secure environment, but that also lets you allow to run your DS200 and your auto marks on your current system.
Thanks, sir.
My card here.
Okay, thank you so much.
Some information. And I hope you're doing okay. So you had a receipt?
Partial knee replacement,
Oh, wow.
not even a week ago,
No dancing for a while.
5 days ago. Yeah,
God bless you.
thank you.
So with all this being said, though, again, we're trying to get into an environment now. Most things that are driven equipment-wise by ES&S is driven because where the EAC is taking things down the road. We look at, again, we talk about security. We talk about ease of use. We talk about different aspects of how we can make elections better within the county structure. This is what ES&S is involved in quite a bit. So really, to start off with here, I want to talk just briefly about your DS200 is a fantastic piece of equipment. I have sold quite a bit of it in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia. And I will tell you that right now, South Carolina just went to DS300s statewide 3 weeks before the last election, which was a push for our company, but we pulled that off to upgrade their standards and security to their to the 300 from the 200s. But the 200 is working fantastic in the marketplace. There's no timeline for that here in the state right now. Again, I don't get into that because that's not my decision. That decision is made within Karen and her office and the structure of the state board. So their policies and where their code's going to go towards the future. So with that being said, though, the one aspect would be probably going to back off the equipment and talking about just going to upgrade into going to electionware 5240, which is simply a new workstation for you. The workstation on that, again, when I talk about a Windows 7 environment, I have IT guys who cringe when I say that. All we use the computer for in the operating system is to turn it on and turn it off. There's no upgrade, it's never connected to the internet, so there's no patches need to be done. All that is used for is to turn on so we can crank up the electionware software, just like we do your Unity software today. That upgrade is approximately around $5,000. I'm getting you a quote for that now from ES&S for you on that. And that would be where you would stay now. And I think also too, the state board is meeting with you guys here in a couple of days with all the 15 unity counties that are left in North Carolina to discuss some grant money available for that process, I believe. Is that correct? Okay, good. The next step for you probably would be going to moving from your Automark Express, but I want to go through, go ahead and go real quick here through the DS300. The DS300, as you can see, is a lot different than the ballot box you have today. One, it's not two-piece anymore. I had one county member tell me, I'm glad they went to a solid speed paste like this because several times he's actually dropped because it's top heavy, the DS200 on the side. But there's a lot more to that than just this. They have the solid state, look at the back here. The front area here now has non-pick locks on the front end. Also too, with the DS200, there's no more of that spring action that you had before. You simply pull it up. We had some issues with the DS200. Those arms that we have here, that they actually sometimes stick on the unit. There's sometimes issues with that. So they're actually lowered it also for our handicap, individuals to be able to reach the machine. So that's a little bit about what the DS300 is as far as the ballot box is concerned. I will real quick here open this up. This is a prototype ballot box and it has a mind of its own. So I have to be a little careful with this lock here. You don't use the ballot boxes you used before.
Good.
Okay? So there's nothing changes with that, which is still the same box, still runs around 2,500 ballots plus, around that area when you use it for an election. So this is the same process. And this, I've got this thing out real quick. I'm going to mention a couple things. One is the fact that, one thing about this ballot box and procedures in all the counties should be the fact that at the end of the night in the precinct, they're not going through ballots. You have to close this lid down before you can get out of this unit. Okay? So that unit lid closes down. That way you don't have any one of your poll workers digging through ballots at the end of the night. That's the way it should be, procedures should happen. When this thing comes out, it's locked in place here. You lock it here, and you put a seal in there, another seal in there for security. So there's no reason for a poll worker to go through ballots during an election or after election, at the end of election night. All right, I'm going to slide this back in real quick.
Tom, how is that ballot box different from what we have in the DS200? Is it
No,
the
same box.
same lock setup and everything?
The new ones, you can use the ones you have.
We can.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You have an emergency ballot bin here, just in case. Right now, the 300 is just like the 200. When it's fully charged, you're looking at about 4 hours of continuous use of the battery. I've only been in one situation up in Virginia where the battery didn't last all day long. They had an issue with the power pack in Virginia. They don't care if it's snow or ice on the ground, some of those counties up there. We're going to vote today's election day. So, I had some power go out for the ballot. The unit had to use all day long with the battery. But in most cases, unless you're using it continuously, that 4 hours can turn into 6. So the battery pack is still available for this unit, as we do with the DS200. Okay, the unit itself, a little bit smaller design. The big thing about this thing is much more faster. And I talked about the voting standards earlier, 2.0. What is upgraded to this? One is this new screen that they have now. The big thing here, now this is not a couple things I'm going to talk about. We're just now getting certified in North Carolina. Again, we have about 5 or 6 counties that have already used this in this past November, but it's also in primary. But there's one special thing you do is there's a slot here in the front here. What that is, your poll worker comes in the morning. They have a code to get in the DS200, right? Before they can open up this box. So the unit comes on automatically, just like the DS200 in the morning. You got to put your election code in to get into it. This has a 2-factor authentication process. That's the big thing, part of the security aspect of 2.0. What that means, not only does that individual have to have a code here, and this is an option to the county, but also they have to have a smart card assigned to them, put in this unit here in the front here, then the unit will pop on in the morning. So someone just has a code, they can get into it. If they don't have that card, they can't.
Is that mandatory or it's
No.
additional
No.
option?
And I'll tell you, as of today, it's not certified by the state yet. They're working on that certification, so to speak.
May I ask, who assigns the code? Where does that come from?
You,
Okay,
just like now.
so we don't have the code.
Yeah, well, what happens now is your coder actually probably programs your election.
Yes,
And they set up, the code is set up that way through the coder.
yes,
You can give them a code that you want to put into it, Bob.
okay.
Okay? Any questions on that part of it? Okay.
When back to the smart card though, if and when that's approved, how would who produces that smart card?
The
It's
card,
like a cat card.
it's done here through the software. They actually have a reader that actually burns that card, and you're the one that issues that card. And it's just a process too, that you sign that card out to that chief judge, they sign that card back in. So here's a process for you to also, and these, I understand too, these things are just now being written. So that's gonna be a new process to work in place for that. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. Because in some cases, you may have one code that gets into every precinct DS200 now. So now though, I have not only that one code to open it up in the camera, but I have a specific card just for this unit. It only opens up this unit. So that two-factor authentication. Okay. It's much faster. Use the same kind of paper you have now, the DS200. Actually, you guys had One Stop, and you probably turned on to have your One Stop tapes run, right? Came back an hour later, probably still running with all the writings and everything. I was in one county 4.5 hours to rent tapes. This thing is almost 5 times faster with the printout of the actual tape now. Also, in taking a ballot, it's 4 to 5 times faster than also reading a ballot. Why is that faster? Well, I have been in precincts, especially on a November presidential election, that you start having lines, because it takes a little longer for the ballot to get through, especially if they have an overvote. So they've got to pull the ballot back out, either they have to accept the ballot, or they have to spoil that ballot and get a new ballot issued. So this is much faster than that also. You also have, this unit also now has the backup thumb drive in the back that will read back up in case there's any issue with the thumb drive. The thumb drive is also the same thumb drive you use today. It's approved by the EAC. It has a special partition. You can't use just any thumb drive in these units, as you guys probably already know. This
Tom, is the lifetime of the battery, of these batteries, is it pretty consistent across the population of customers that you have?
Yeah, it is. I will tell you, I'll get into this in a few minutes. The only thing that we found that was inconsistent at the very beginning was about 3-4 years ago. There's a coin battery in here that only handles the date and time. And what we're finding out is some of the days, those batteries were not functioning like they needed to. We first sold a lot of those units. So we replaced those right away, and that battery has been changed since then. That's the only battery issue I've ever had. Again, we're dealing with electronics, so to say never,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not feasible, but I will say, with my experience, it's been a pretty solid one.
So
Oh, sorry.
on the DS200, with respect to functionality, the backup battery provides, what is the DS200 dependent on the backup battery? Assuming there's no AC.
The DS200 runs the 300 also. So
But what functions on the machine itself are dependent? The entire
the
unit?
entire unit.
Okay.
Yeah, the entire unit.
I noticed the credit that you had down here included the ballot box, but you said the ballot boxes will fit.
He
We
means the
can-
tower. The
Oh.
scanner,
Yeah.
the DS200 is technically two pieces.
Oh, okay.
Is that
Okay.
correct?
Well, yeah, the ballot box, you have, currently you have this kind of awkward looking thing, it's
Okay.
kind of top heavy.
Okay.
And what they originally designed that box for, if you notice, you take the top off.
Yes.
They designed that specifically because some people wanted to store the DS200 itself in that top lid, take it off, and they could put it on the shelf. They also too could take that unit, you can set it down, work like a suitcase. It's got caches on the bottom of it. It's got just a pull handle, so you can pull that thing around if you wanted to.
Mhm.
That was just something they contemplated when they first started working and putting out the DS200. What I have found out though, that it is a little top heavy. If you're not careful, it will leak, it will go over.
Yes.
I've had my personal unit, I actually did that once a few years ago. It did, of course, the unit's built very, the security aspect of it, on the foam and everything, I never had a problem with the DS200. But they want to do away with that two piece.
Okay.
So it's just one piece now. There's no reason for that anymore. Most counties today will take this unit and store it on a shelf, or most units, counties I've got down are just like, I'm like you are, keep it all together,
Mhm.
and that's precinct 1.
Mhm.
And always precinct 1. It's always precinct 2. You just keep this equipment together.
Yes.
I have some counties that actually have bought cages from us. We got these big metal cages. And these big metal cages they'll buy to put the DS200 or 300 into, the express boat, and you can put all your precinct supplies into it, and that's what they'll do to take out to the precincts. They take them out all in a secure cage, so to speak. But really, just keep it in the unit. It's the best way to store it. Okay. All right, very good.
I do have a quick question about the testing and coding.
Mhm.
Is it pretty much running about the same as the DS200s
Yep.
now?
Yep.
Not much difference in the process? Okay.
No, we don't change anything on the process. In fact, the girls and the guys that code for us when you go to, especially when you go to 6300, go, thank you so much. What
Okay.
happens is, just a quick lesson in the software. Unity software, when they first came out with the DS200 ES&S, they were going, everybody was going to have to go from Unity to Electionware. And with that process, not everybody had a license agreement nationally. So the upgrade at that time was around, at that old price was probably $45,000, $50,000 to upgrade. So what ES&S did is, look, let's just hold off. Is there a way we can take the DS200 and put it into Unity? So they actually went backwards. They said, fine, we'll do that. Well, what happened when they went to Electionware, because of the process that happened to revert back to Unity, when you go to, if you decide just to go to the Electionware 5240, you decide to keep your auto marks, your DS200. What happens is you will still have Electionware encoded in Electionware, but on election night, you'll switch over to the election result module in Unity. So you're actually only running two softwares. So it has worked okay, but when you go to 6300 to the upgrades, okay, when you go to those upgrades, that ERM from Unity goes away. Everything's done in Electionware. It's much easier to code. It's much easier for you. The reports are much more effective. It's easier for you to operate too.
Okay.
So it's more user-friendly software. I will tell you this, so you guys will understand too. If you decide to go to 5240, keep your auto marks, great. Wherever you guys decide you want to go. 6300 is the most upgraded. It's the Windows 10 product. That is certified in the state. It is taking you forward as far as the future is concerned. And it does not include the AutoMark. So if you decide to go to 6300, you want to upgrade, you'll have to go the Express mode.
Okay.
Kind of throw that in there also. The AutoMark, quick lesson, the AutoMark was actually designed by a company called Vogue Industries out of California in the early 90s. And it had been around, I think it's been around since 1994, 1995. Now, his work great. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a great piece of equipment. It weighs 52 pounds. It's a little bit heavy, and it's awkward for our, and I don't know how this county is, but the majority of my county's average age for poll workers is probably somewhere around 62 to 65. And that's average age. Yeah, a few younger, some a lot older. So it's a little more strenuous to have to carry that big thing around, whereas compare 52 compared to 22, which I'll get into in just a second, with the new unit. But the AutoMark has done a great job. It really has. I've been a proponent since day one. ESNS purchased that from Vogue Industries around 2008 or 9 because ESNS was selling DS200s to New York City, and they wanted to include the AutoMarks. They bought AutoMark to do that with. So that's why they actually purchased the AutoMark back at that time. Sold this plus. Okay. All right, the Express Vote. This is the latest and greatest as far as, and it's used in several ways in the state right now, and I don't want to confuse you, but majority of them are using this as an ADA unit, just like you're doing your AutoMark, but it does a lot more than just ADA. Okay, and I'll go through that in just a second. Some counties out there, like the Mecklenburg, McQueen, Warren County, it's about 6 or 7 of them in the state. Actually, what they do is they use this as a ballot marking device instead of ballots on election day. Now, that's how South Carolina uses it also. And the reason for that is, if you look at the cost of ballots offset to the investment of this, there's where they start looking at, I can save a lot of money on ballots by buying these as ballot marking devices. The only issue is this. To use as a ballot marking device on election day, we recommend that you buy one of these per 250 registered voters in a precinct. So if I have 1,000 registered voters in precinct 1, I would recommend 4 of these units. So now there's a more big capital cost front. So you have to look at it and say, well, if we buy ballots, how long will it take for us to break even? And that's something that not every county wants to do. Counties that have been on optical scan want to stay optical scan, and I'm great with that. Okay, I think that's fantastic. I'm just throwing out there how it's being used in the state. South Carolina did a study before they went statewide, Express Votes to do BMW. And Marcy Andini, I believe, about 7 years, after 7 years, she would have paid off that capital cost and would save money from ballots. That's how she looked at it. So that's in Michael Dickerson's the same way. In Mecklenburg, you look at Warren County, it's all the same thing. Anyway. All right, so the Express Vote. The Express Vote, what's really great though about this unit, it works similar to your unit you have today. Except using the actual ballots that you see today, or a full-size ballot, it saves you quite a bit of money going from 20, 24, 25 cent a ballot to just 10 cent a ballot. To a blank card. Now, I'll talk about this briefly. We've had a lot of folks at the very beginning used to talk about this as well. The problem I have going with this, Tom, is that if I've got a ballot, that ballot drops down in this box. I can't tell who voted. You vote on this card, I can pull it out and tell you voted. Well, technically, possibly. But if you're following the guidelines that your poll workers follow, remember when I opened this ballot box up, you have to pull the flaps down to get it out. There's no reason poll workers should be inside. So if you have a representative from the Democratic Party or Republican Party, they make sure that it's closed when it comes out, we lock it, we secure it, no one is in that ballot box. So that eliminates that issue. So I have to throw that out there, but in some cases, is it me?
No, it's me.
God bless you.
Thank
But no, I just want to kind of throw that out there. So one time that seemed to be an issue with some of the counties out there, and I respect that, I really do. I just want to tell you that that is an issue. It's not been an issue in those counties.
Excuse me.
So currently, all we have to do now, so if you come in and run this or an ADA unit, let's start with an ADA unit. Notice here we have a place for headphones, just like you do your Audemars. There's also a position here for sit and puff for those who are paraplegic. It does work real well. I've never seen one in person do it. Now, sit and puff device is something you're not that you don't have to worry about carrying. They bring their own product in, but I think it's kind of cool that they actually can take this unit and load on it through a sit and puff device. So really, actually, you see a little corner cut here. I would stick the card in like so. And you see it's a little quieter too.
Yes.
In your Audemars. I think the most impressive thing when I do these demonstrations and I have poll workers, and I probably bring them back to you too, is that fact they go like, you only weighs 20 pounds, well, 22. They're so ecstatic about it. But you notice here too, the ballot comes up, and I can do the same thing I used to do with the, with the product we had with the Audemars. If I want to text size a little larger, I can have a larger size, so I can see that. Also, too, this display also works just like your Audemars does too. If you have someone who's totally visually impaired, I can darken out this screen also for photo privacy, because they're going to be using just the headphones. Okay. So what I'll do here, so I can also, so if I hit beach here for favorite vacation destination, with this unit I can always make a change at any time. This side of the mountains is going to be my favorite destination, and we just have this little North Carolina thing. Your favorite dog breed? I don't know what. I picked lab because I'm a lab fan. Write-ins with the writing with the same your favorite leisure activity, hunting, fishing, whatever it may be. Write-ins works just like it does with your Audemars currently. Just put something in, whatever. I'll put accept. Okay. And we'll just go to favorite ice cream, we'll pop chocolate today.
Good choice.
This is one of my favorite questions. Should election days be treated as a statewide holiday? I've never heard anybody in the election office say, oh, no. Oh, yeah, it's always been yes with that stuff. And also one of my favorite here says, free lunches on Friday. Well, it all depends who has some fun, right? Anyway. All right, so what it's going to do now is going to give you my synopsis screen, just like you did with your Audemars. Nothing changes there. And I can make changes at any time. If I decide to make a change here, I can go back, press that erase, and make those changes. Return to my summer. Okay, show me on. I think I actually voted for, so I'm happy with that now. I'm waiting for it. It actually asks me again, are you sure you want to print this to make sure? Yes, I am sure. And you notice it's a little quicker, and of course, a lot more quiet.
Yes, a lot quieter.
Okay. Now, I have to tug it a little bit just to fall out. That's done for a purpose. That way it doesn't fall out just out of hand. So normally what I do, this is something I have a lot of fun with, those especially the vision impaired. I don't have to get a lot of vision impaired in this county, but we have to work and train with them. So I normally say, I'll turn it upside down, put it in their hands, and actually walk them over to the machine. Let them fill this special slot here for this unit and put it in themselves. That's it. So, any questions?
So, what is is there a flash drive, a card? Is there something that we're
Yes.
burning?
There
Okay,
is, it's thumb drive, just like your 200.
okay. Exact same thumb drive or something different? Right now, the Automark is a different, card. It's a card
Yeah,
instead
you're
of.
using right now, you're using the flash cards.
Yes.
This is using a thumb drive.
Okay, so, okay.
So Tom, for the Express Vote, what's the print medium for that? Is it like an inkjet or
No, it's
We'll have
it's
to
There's
thermal?
a source like this, like this, it's heat sensor.
Heat sensor.
I will tell you, there's one process that's not certified yet that this will do. And I want to talk about this one too. In this unit, one step, part of 2.0, this is an option. We don't have certified yet. Some have been concerned about ballots being read twice, whatever it may be. This is going to be set up with ink on it to actually put a marking on the ballot so it can't be read to a tablet more than once without me overridden software.
That's nice.
In some cases, I actually put a number on there because of that purpose. To take this another step, and I'm just gonna throw this out there because some counties have referred to this as they've gotten more acclimated to the express vote. And that is this. Some, and we talked about this earlier, some have realized the savings of 22, 24, 25 cent a ballot. And let me re-clarify that a minute. If the county buys 10,000 ballots, you pay 20 cents for them. But you only use half. Actually, it costs you 40 cents to use ballot, not 20. This is a dime. So I kind of throw that out there. I love, look, we print ballots for a living. I like to throw that out. On election day, if you decide to use it as an ADA unit, great. Some counties now are using this ADA on election day for one stop. They have the one-stop sites. They're using this as a ballot marking device. And having instead of using ballots, now ballots are available if they want as an option. But they're using this as their main ballot marking product in the one-stop area. One, you got the savings of cost. And there's another reason too. We have a printer that we sell that attaches to your poll book or your whatever software you're using now with the state. It works with them. It's compatible. And what happens is when a voter comes in for one stop, they stick this into this printer. Blank. You fill out your paperwork just like you normally do. When you hit enter and done, what's going to happen on this card is going to do two things. One is to put a code on here to the actual ballot style pertaining to that customer, to that voter, meaning that we're not going to give them the wrong ballot style. The other thing it does is it prints your registration number that you write currently now, writing by hand on a ballot. It puts it on there automatically. So we don't have to make mistakes there either. So now all I got to do now as a voter is walk over, put this into any unit you may have in the precinct, and it's going to automatically print the right ballot style that I can vote. Another process with the express vote that's out there is that if they use it in a precinct on election day, and you have someone comes in for one of the voting provisional ballot, okay? You can set this up where a voter can come over and do their provisional on this. Now, what happens is this, and I've seen it happen. On election day, I'm usually in a county somewhere as for election support. We have about 50 of us that go out for our company that are certified to go out. You issue a ballot to someone for provisional. And now normally you have a poll worker close by at that point while they're filling that ballot out. But what happens, the poll worker gets called somewhere else, leaves that voter alone. Well, what's the voter do? They got their Nike tennis shoes on that day. They take that ballot, they run the DS200 and put it in. Now the provisional ballot's in there. It's been counted. So now if you have a way to retract that, then you got to go back in the software and do a procedure. It's just a mess. So what happens is it's done on this and they try to stick it in here. It won't take it. It won't take it. So it's just another procedure. So again, when I tell you that the express vote does so much more than the automatic, it does. It does so much more. And I was teasing earlier, I said, with the mandates that come down so much from the EHC, on what voting equipment does today, I said, someday we're going to have to put a coffee maker on here, I just know. We're going to have to generate coffee one election morning, which will be fantastic. So anyway, those are some of the processes we're looking at equipment-wise. I want to bring these down to you. I know right now that you have been leasing your auto marks, and that's expensive. That's very expensive. And again, what Routt County takes it totally up to them. I don't pressure any way. It's just something you have to discuss amongst you guys, what direction you feel is going to be best for the county. I think the quote we gave you still for the express votes, even though you didn't have auto marks to trade in, I think we still gave you guys, through ESNS still establishes a loyalty discount. And I think that's on your proposal there too. So it still gave you a discount, a loyalty discount on there. And that's something we worked through ESNS and we worked through the state. And that's really been, that was a goal of my boss, Owen Andrews, to see that happen years ago. It's like trading in a car or vehicle. There's a value somewhere. So that's what that was. That's why you see a discount on this. It's a loyalty discount. Okay. Any questions?
Tom, there's to acquire the equipment, there's either lease or purchase. Is that correct?
There's a purchase. There's a purchase. We allow counties to lease the auto marks. There are only just a couple out there that do that. It's a purchase. It is a purchase.
Is there any lease purchase where, and I don't know enough about government and taxes, but, I know I worked for Xerox as a copywriter for a while, and we had big copiers and duplicators, and part of the selling was lease purchase, where the customer could get the benefit of depreciation on the equipment by making a lease purchase. So is there anything like that, or is this too small?
Yeah, and
I mean-
really, believe it or not, when ESNS decided to start, in the beginning, they called it a lease purchase.
Uh-huh.
They actually did the beginning, where they finance you, and at the end of the lease, you go the equipment. In the copier world, you make a lot of money on lease purchase.
Yeah.
You really make a ton of money. It's convenient because I'm a payment buyer of the company. That's what they look at, I'm a payment buyer. So, and I know at one time, many years ago, we were a Kirsi Avita and a Xerox dealer. We don't do it anymore. So I really understand it. But that's where actually the first initial counties got financed through ESNS, that's what they did. But it's really a purchase. They will, if the county though decides that we can do this, if they can break up into two payments, one for the upcoming budget and one for the following budget, okay, they do that, that's interest free. Okay, but if you decide you want to finance, 3, 4, 5 years, then there's interest charge. I'll have to get her to get those payments for you.
Okay.
So you make a decision, a wise decision on what direction you want to go.
Well, the benefit, the way I understood it, was the tax benefit through being able to depreciate the equipment. Does government, state government have that as they can still do that? Do they have to?
That's something you want to talk to your county.
Yeah. I was wondering if you might have knowledge about that.
If you purchase equipment, period, you're still going to have depreciation.
Yeah, of course.
So it's still the same process. But if ESNS doesn't do what they call a lease like you see in the copy.
Yeah.
In the very beginning, they actually called it a lease purchase. They don't anymore. It's just really a straight finance.
Yeah.
Michael McCarthy actually owns a finance company that did this. He didn't go to a bank to negotiate whatever. He became a bank. He said, we're going to finance. And that's what he did.
Mhm.
We financed it. So that way, what happens in that process, the vendor is taken care of from the very beginning, usually in that process, and he continues to work out. And I've seen a lot of, most counties, believe it or not, and I've experienced so far, it's been usually the first year, second year, and then by the time a really smart county manager says, look, guys, we only have 3 years left, I can pay this thing off, and they get done. But we really, and I understand too, back after 2018, it was Florence came through and decimated from, Jones County through Craven all the way through this area. Guys, we were hurt. I mean, the tax dollars weren't covering all that the loss we had out there. And then COVID from 2020, man, we lost a lot of income, especially in our tourism and everything else at that period. So still, I think at this point, we're probably still trying to catch up in some aspects. We're probably just now getting there in some counties. And I speak to the fact that I lived in Craven County for 30 years. It was a challenge for us too.
Mr. Janusik, is there any way is that beeping coming from the machine?
Sure.
The beeping, is that coming from your? Okay, it's kind of messing up our audio. IT just, Pam just said, I don't know if you could. I do have a question about the provisional function. I really like that a lot. And then also the ballots being able to be distinguished, printed. But that's a second piece of equipment,
Yeah, the
correct?
printer's about $700.
Okay.
Yeah, the printers, and you get one per laptop, or how many stations you have in one stop. They're not really expensive. What I usually recommend, we have, like everybody else does, we have folks who already use this equipment. You're somewhat new. God bless her, she started when she did. You and, what was the other county had, Pasquotank.
Yes.
There was another one, you girls, and actually on election day, I went to Pasquotank, we got a call from the state board, and I got to go, which was fine. I needed to be there for the election this past time around. Catawba County,
Okay.
the director there, and I can give you her information, you've got her information, but she will be able to say, look, you're looking at possibly going to 300s. What advantage have you seen in the software? She's had 5240. She's had the situation you've had. So I try to direct you in the direction of some of those folks that have gone through this. I use her because she probably, Amanda, she was probably a pioneer in some of these areas. She was one of the first counties that wanted to go through. Now, Johnson County is the first actually saw the DS200. But Amanda was right behind that, and she's gone through all this. She is great to work with. And I always tell the directors, it's a great place to go back and, talk to individuals. Like, we have Debbie up in Warren County in this area. She's fantastic. They're open to give you great answers and help you follow through. It's just like on procedures a lot of the procedures and stuff, the manuals you have for training, they've already developed. They'll just give you their copy. So
Okay.
you can work from there. We have a lot of that material too to help you out in the
Okay.
process, but I would call Amanda in Catawba County, tell her your situation, tell her Tom sent you up that way, so she'll help you out. There's some directors out there that really work with you.
Because we already have a printer to print the ATVs
Mhm.
attached. So this is a second printer, or can
Yes,
you get
second.
one that prints?
No, it's just,
So it has to be 2 printers for one.
Yeah.
For one laptop.
and it's, again, it's not a real difficult process, it's just another hookup to your poll workers.
Okay.
But I like the fact that, you can go back and say, look, she can tell you her difficulties she had and how they overcame them and what direction they went.
Tom?
You can have references.
With respect to the ballot that the Express Vote produced, the printed one, can the voter actually inspect that ballot and see the votes that were cast?
Absolutely, absolutely, you know,
Okay.
I'll show you here. And that's what happens here, you actually can see that ballot here, and I apologize, I don't even see that. Show you that.
Thank you.
Okay, so what this does, it reduces, just like the ballot itself has the barcode on it, this also does the barcode.
Okay,
Now, it's easy about barcodes, these barcodes are probably more secure than the barcodes to a degree on this, because this is just measuring access.
Mhm.
And that's when, years ago, when we first talked about optical scan, it was kind of voodoo, because it was like, well, how accurate is that compared to, they had the touchscreens, which were direct record, which were dead, this is like direct record, dead on. So as time has gone on, and the type of scanner we're using in this today, they use an intellectual mark recognition, which is a copyrighted product of ES&S to be that accurate. And this, just like this, has gone through the million vote test with the EAC, just so you know. So what it has here, it doesn't put the whole ballot on it, it puts on who I voted for.
Mhm.
So I can actually look at this ballot, and I can see who I voted for.
Mhm.
And if I'm not happy with that, just like before, just pull this one,
Just
give
pull
me your
it.
card. Okay. In fact, I'll just leave that with you guys about that.
Didn't you say earlier that, that is traceable back to the voter, right?
It is, well, it is if you use it with the printer for one stop. Understand that one stop right now, when you do a ballot for one stop, you have to put that voter number on that one stop ballot in case it's ever challenged.
So
All
that's
ballots are traceable back to.
All
the
ballots.
voter.
Not the ones
For early voting.
cast
For early
for
voting.
early.
no, that was my next point. So on election day, what happens? You
So
it can't,
here's where the question would come in. It's come in the past with previous boards. Excuse me, if you're using it exclusively for an ADA compliant machine, we have small precincts, they're small communities. So let's say that there's one person who uses the ADA machine on election day. Everyone knows who it is. Mr. John comes in every election and he uses the ADA machine and he's the only one. In theory, if you've got 100 ballots and 99 of them look like the traditional paper ballot and one of them looks different, you could, within reason, say that that ballot is Mr. John's ballot and therefore you know how he voted. His point earlier was there's no reason for the poll workers or anyone to be handling those ballots. There's no reason for it. Like, they shouldn't be filtering through. Unless there's a recount or they're ordered by a sample audit. And, typically it's not going to be the same poll workers that worked in that precinct that are, doing those audits. But there would be no reason for anyone to pull that ballot out and look at it. So,
Again, like I said before, you've got to close those flaps down on that blue box before you pull it out of this unit. So when you close them at the end of the night, our checks and balances, our Democrat, our Republican.
yes.
Individuals in the precinct come to the machine, the flat will be closed down, so it's closed, okay? I'm checking you, you're checking me, we're just gonna get a key, the chief judge is gonna lock it up, then put a seal in it to come back to the office here.
That's right.
No one's gonna see a thing in that, okay? Now,
So-
that's been a question in the past, of, well, poll worker, well, technically, poll worker could, but if you write your procedure properly, that this plat, when it closes down and pulls out, it's not to be reopened. And if you have a witness of both parties there, it should be taken care of, no problem. and along with the chief judge, matter of fact.
Right. And even staff, when these ballot boxes come, they remain locked and sealed unless we have reason to open them. And that comes with directive from the state. So a sample audit, the hand-eye audit or a recount. But until, by the time the election's certified, we typically have ballot bins that have never been, that they're not opened. We don't. We've got the thumb drives, we've got the results, we've got the tapes, but we're not touching those ballots or breaking those seals unless we've been told to for a specific reason. So to answer your question, I guess, yes, but you shouldn't be, there shouldn't be any reason to be able to put an election day ballot with a voter.
Tom, I got a question with respect to, okay, so voter casts their ballot on the express vote, okay? And you described the process where they come over to the tabulator, the DS-300 there, and they feed the ballot in. Are they able then, I know that they were able to view the votes that they were casting on the express vote, but can they then review their vote on the DS-300?
No. That's just like a regular ballot, you can't do that.
Nobody.
Now, one process you can do at the end of election night, just like with your 200 now, I'm not sure you do this in Unity, but in election where at the end of the night, if I want to review, and then you gotta have a passcode to get in this, by the way, I can go in here, put a passcode in and see the write-ins for that day on my unit here without having to touch a ballot. So if I want to review the ballots, if I want to, some counties say, well, that's fine, we have write-ins, I want to know who they are. So we need to pull those ballots out and write them on a piece of paper. So that was the old process years ago.
We just
with
did that.
E100s.
That's the process still
Okay,
for us.
you won't take the ballot out now at the precinct, you get it on the screen. And actually, on the screen, you'll be able to look at the actual write-ins from that election that night.
That's great. So we do that in-house with us here at the office,
Okay.
but you're saying that the
That could be-
precinct official
you
can
could.
do it.
It's a procedure up to you, plus you gotta have a passcode to get into it. Now, here, as far as that's concerned, without pulling all the ballots, that thumb drive comes back, and you enter into your election work computer, okay? Those images are gonna be stored in a file. And that file, you can click on write-in, and you can see the digital imagery on your laptop or your computer without pulling the ballot out.
Okay.
It'll be on that actual thumb drive.
We can see
So
it
you
now,
do it
but
now.
it's not user friendly, because like I said, it records all the fronts. So you can have 2,000 fronts and then 2,000 backs. And so you can't necessarily put a front to a back. Is there a way also, does it record the write-in so that you can put them on a spreadsheet or anything like that? I know that's difficult to do when it's handwritten.
Yeah, you're getting into what is called, there's a process called OCR, optical character recognition, that they have looked at that. But what it would do would take my name and try to figure out what that is in a file. That's really tricky. And also too, it's very, very, very slow. But yeah, when you deal with write-ins, probably deal with write-ins, penmanship's rough now. Penmanship's worse today than ever before, because when I grew up, I'm over 65 years old. You're supposed to say, God, look at it. We learned how to curse and write in school. We didn't have what they have today. The kids nowadays, they can type on a computer.
They
They're
can't
unbelievably
fill out a
talented.
circle.
But to write something nowadays, it's a challenge to them. And I say that when we raised 5 kids, and we have 8 grandkids. And I see the grandkids compared to what the kids went through. And I'm like shaking my head. But those decisions aren't mine anymore. I give this all to the kids now. I don't make those decisions. I just spoil grandkids.
So
We
you,
want to talk about spelling.
So if we wanted to get additional quotes, Tammy Malone would be.
Yeah, I can take care of your quotes as
Okay.
far as
I would like to.
adjust the number of express votes or whatever.
Yeah, so one thing, on the, express vote quote, I don't see any loyalty, discount,
Yeah, you got it.
but I would also like to.
we want a bigger discount.
Add in
Yeah.
those printers.
Yeah,
Thank God for a small county. Well, as far as voters. are
Yeah.
And I would need, I guess, one printer per laptop, and we have currently 20, I would say 28.
Let me do this, fire me off an email.
Okay.
You got my email address in the card, give me email anyway. Fire up an email, what you want there. The reason, now, we put 18 on there, guys, you're gonna get 16 precincts, you're gonna have a couple extra. And here's an issue. Election day, but prior to election day, we take equipment out to precincts. And I have learned that some boards and offices are getting really, really smart because they're finding out that equipment is getting damaged between point A and point B. So it's very expensive. You know, your insurance covers that with your county. It doesn't help you when you're one day away from election. Now you're calling Thompson, Tom, I need to do it. I need 200 now. You know, so what a lot of officers are doing now, and I don't know any board members, but I knew that they have some office staff, or they have a rover, or someone that's a poll worker, I kind of say, so we always have someone that's maybe IT somewhat oriented as a poll worker you can trust, rides with them to the precinct and watches it delivered and helps sets it up. That way we know damages aren't happening. But I always put at least 2 in there extra in case there's that issue, in case something gets damaged. Some go more, but I do recommend at least 2. Also, to those 2, you'll see project management days on there, training days, and probably also, we also include that first one is your first election usage. It's available to you to have election day support for that first election. And we'll have somebody from our company here Monday, Tuesday, and about a half a day Wednesday.
Do we have to pay for that?
I put it in the quotes,
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
okay? I highly recommend that.
okay.
I tell counties, you're fixing to spend $200,000 on equipment. Don't worry about a couple thousand for support, because that way you're sure somebody's here, knows what's going on, knows the equipment very well, and can help you through. What it does, it takes the pressure off of you and your office if there is an issue.
And you're here, like, part of it is election night.
Oh, yeah, no, they're here. Usually what happens is when they come in around noon or so on Monday,
Okay.
they're all day Tuesday night, and usually they'll hang around about half a day Wednesday until you get tired of looking at them, and you send them on the way. But it's just part of our process. We've been doing this for a long time. We've been covering county support-wise since the year 2000. So we have about 50, I think we have 55 this last election that went out from our county, from our company, out in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, to the election coverage. I've been doing it forever. Like I said last time, this past time, because the scenario there in Pasquotank, I went to Pasquotank. We had a tough board up there.
Tom, the DS300, when did that first come out?
It's not been long. The DS300, believe it or not, I've got to be truthful on this. We didn't know about it at Printlex until about 18 months ago.
18 months ago.
They have been working on. ESNS does not tell us all the equipment they're working on. Now, we do have a poll book we're fixing to certify in the state that is very economical to the counties, that works with all your equipment, functions with all your equipment. There's a lot of equipment they have. You go on their site, there's equipment on there. They're always going to have some, like for instance, New York, state of New York, they have to have full face expressos, you know? It's different equipment for different jurisdictions. I didn't know about it, or I didn't know about it. My boss may have, but I did about 18 months ago. Our first county started in Catawba, I think it was the first in the state to have the 300. I want to say there's 6 counties now. They used it for the primary and the general election.
Okay.
And I understand the guys who work those counties for our company are pretty proud about how quick they were, how efficient it ran, and how efficient 6,300 ran also. That's a big plus.
You mentioned a few moments ago about taking the equipment to sites and all that, you know, you go through election cycles and so forth, but let's say it's not damaged, but electronics go out, you know, a circuit card, optical scanner needs realigning and all. Do you have in-house service technicians that can do all that? Is any part of it proprietary?
Now, we actually do this now for you now. We have, I think we have 8 certified technicians in our company out of New Bern alone, okay? They are certified. We go around North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Everybody we have right now is on some kind of annual maintenance, okay? Annual maintenance came about, it has been around a long time. We were Mr. Bartlett, our state election director at one time. Mr. Bartlett was part of when we purchased, they did a statewide deal back in 2000. Instead of having a bunch of companies come in like we had before, Mr. Bartlett said, look, I've got to have the money. We're not going to do that. I want one system. There's one problem, I have one solution. So there were 8 companies that answered the request for proposal that the state board put out around 2005. So to tell you though, And I'll let you tell this because this is a tough business. Of those 8 companies today, there's only still one in business, and that's ES&S. 7 companies gone. Everybody, they want to get into it later on in the years, and some of them have been as profitable as they should be because of service. You know, we talk about your service contracts being pricey. My McCarthy at ES&S, majority of that money goes to research and development, expensive. When the DS200 first came out, the certification number I heard for the EAC cost a little over $4 million to certify. It ain't cheap. So with that being all said, Mr. Bartlett, though, at that time, we won the contract. We were blessed to get the contract. He had one statement, that was this, that we're going to put maintenance on all the equipment. I don't want to have a pickup truck with 150,000 miles on it, never changing the oil on it, and it breaks down. Because when the truck breaks down on the interstate, what days it's going to be election day that piece of equipment is down, right? So Mr. Bartlett, they put that in law now. You got to have annual maintenance. So we come in and give it a lobby and go through everything. There's some things that aren't covered in maintenance. You talk about a door on an DS2 or something. And I always say, it costs $30, fix it. Let's have our equipment ready to go for election day. But yet, all your boards are covered. They do a schematic. They do a whole process checklist when they come in. If you don't have that checklist, I'll be glad to send you one. But they do a big, long checklist that they come in for annual maintenance for you now. But then again, you're still dealing with equipment, just electronics. So things that's why we say if you have a couple extra DS200s, a couple extra express boats, just in case an accident does happen. But you are dealing with equipment. But I will tell you, though, as many units as we have out, and I've been putting these out, as many units as we have out, considered, I think they have handled everything really well. As many people handle the equipment, take it out to the precincts, bring it all back, and still not smashed off pieces. I mean, I'm not on wood, but I'm just telling you, I'm really impressed. It's been handled pretty well. Counties are starting to graduate. I was talking earlier, so, we can also, we can do a training for this stuff. If you guys go forward with the express boat and or with the 300, we can train in somewhere in your deal here. If you have a couple of poll workers that are pretty sharp, got a little IT experience, and they have a good demeanor, okay? I used to select 1 or 2 people from a county. You have 16 precincts?
Yes.
Okay. Then you have one that we charge at 8, and the other we charge at 8. So on election day, if there's a problem with a printer, or a problem with a jam, that they actually know how to do that, and you can send that individual out there as a rover. We call them rovers. So we like to train rovers. I think rovers on election day are very important. And also, too, they can be runners for you, like placing these extra ballots. So these, John's in charge 8, and Kelly, she's in charge 8, whatever it be. So that way, we can get people well trained on election day and make your job a lot easier. I don't think the board wants to be technicians on election day. I haven't met one yet that wanted to be. So anyway, that's all good though. They need to be doing board stuff.
We'll be whatever we have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on, I got some boards that are there at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, and they're there till the last, whatever, taken care of. Then I got some that floated around too. I have some that they have some counties that have divided the board members up into, they have responsibilities to hit precincts in the morning. That's something I do if I come in for election day support, our team does. They'll go out to check the precincts out during the course of the day. I like to do that. And also go through, I may take the chief judge to slow and go through closing procedures to make them feel more comfortable. Again, people are different, election day, everybody's uptight, we've had to deal with election issues all day long, mainly people that don't have the wrong precincts, whatever it may be, we're having to deal with those folks. Funny quick story though, we're gonna write a book someday, I'm gonna call it, You Can't Make This Up. Voters and poll workers are great. They will give you laughter. I was in Pasco-Thane County, I'm gonna tell them right now. I was in Pasco-Thane County, and a guy calls up, he was serious. In fact, I had a guy from the state board that was budgeted with Steve Adams from the state board. Steve, I've known Steve for 12, 15 years. Of course, he's one of the SSTs now. And the phone rang, and this guy asked the lady, he said, look, my license got taken away from me. We knew what that was, it got taken away from me. But I've got another form of ID I can use. And she said, well, what's that? She said, well, actually, I have a picture from Pasquotank Sheriff Department when I got arrested. Can I bring that in as ID? And the lady was smart. She did look at me, she goes, can you do this? I don't think it's considered a valid ID, somebody's mug shot. So that really happened. That really happened. So, voters think outside the box too. It was just an idea. But yeah, that was, I've never heard, I hear stories every election. That was a new one. That was a new one. So.
Are the opening and closing procedures pretty similar
Yep.
to the DS200?
Yep.
Okay.
By the way, the express vote here, I'm gonna tell you real quick here, all the toll work I have to do in the morning, open this slot up here, flip it on the on button. At the end of the night, off button.
And it has an ink cartridge, the same as the Automark that you have?
Well, it's not an ink cartridge, it uses like, in fact, it's heat treated,
Okay.
just like, it's the same thing. So it heat treats this, and actually, to be honest with you, to let you know, this is a special stock that's actually certified by the EAC.
Okay.
The longevity on this is it's hit higher temperatures than the old fax paper. It has to be stored for so many months or whatever, you got to store this stuff. Most of the storage facilities, most of them in North Carolina, are temperature controlled anyway, but there are some facilities out there that are not. So as long as you don't have a lot of rain and moisture on them, they'll hold up for you. It's like a ballot.
Okay.
Just like a ballot.
Mentioned early on that, I guess this last cycle, y'all did like 30 million ballots or
Yes,
something.
last election, we did $30 million.
So you got 75 employees, is that contracted out?
No.
You all did that in-house?
Yeah, we have two facilities, one in Newbern, North Carolina, and one in Raleigh. Things have changed in the printing business. Years ago, you set a big printer up, press, or then it became to where you run something through and it print it. Actually, our process in Raleigh, and I would love to have, anytime you guys want to come to the Gardner facility and take a tour, let me know. I can hook you up there, you'd love to see. A couple processes you see up there is the ballot pen printing processes we use. Something else we do that's not certified in North Carolina yet, in Virginia, South Carolina, and in Georgia, we actually do your absentee mail-out ballots for you. We do the whole process. What the county does, we have the VR, that you send me your file. What we do is we actually print the ballots for you. We stuff the envelope, we have a machine that stuffs the envelopes, puts all the information into it. Our barcode system is a little different than what the state uses. We use an enhanced product. And what happens is, so when that ballot goes out to a mailing, we mail out to a ballot, to a voter, it goes to the post office. We know when it hits the post office. We know what day it went out to the voter. We know when it came back to the post office when it comes back to you. We also put a little window on that envelope that shows you the ballot style. So if someone called you and say, I got my ballot, it's the wrong style, you can go into software, you can look at the envelope when it went out, and you can see what style is actually in that envelope to say, no, sir, you're supposed to get B1, and that's what you got. Anyway, we do that in several states. It's really cost effective. And again, if you take someone in this state who you have to use an hourly employee or an employee, by the time you get the ballot printed, the invoice printed, all the stuff that got to go in printed, the cost of the labor cost to it, it runs right now between probably, I want to say it's probably up now, but more approximately between $6 and $8 per envelope that you're mailing out today. You sit down and really do it, really do it without what's going to cost you. We can turnkey it for about $3.
What?
$3. So it's a cost savings to you. And that's why a lot of counties use it now. We've used it successfully now for a while. When we had last year, first time we did the first year, we did around 100,000 ballots. Last year we did 250,000 absentee ballots. Now, the reason you can't do it in this state, there's a law here says that it's got to go through this office actually. And I've had actually some directors call me and say, well, if we come through the office with you, you can bring them to me.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So there's something that my boss and the legislators would have a talk about if they want to use it here. It's been very successful throughout Virginia and South Carolina. We've been very, very excited about that product. So if you go to the plant, you get to see that. A little different today, like for instance, our plant, to answer your question though, we use different technology than ever before. When you first see one of our printers, okay, you'll understand, if anyone in the Xerox business probably really get a kick out of this. We use a half a ton roll of paper comes in. It goes in one 65-foot long machine, and your back and front is printed. It comes out on the other end and rolled back up again. And we take that roll, put it on another 65-foot long machine. It goes through, it cuts it, it stacks it to the number you want to stack it to, and out the door it goes. So it's a process not like years ago, where we had to do so much more, so much labor intensive. It's not anymore. It's a very expensive process, but that's how we get them out. That's how it works. If we have excess amount, believe it or not, from New Bern and Garner, we do have a sister company we have worked with in Greenville, North Carolina. It also helps us out in the past. We have to have used them lately because we have got this process down pat now. We put the person now in our Garner facility. I welcome you. Just let me know when you do as well. Love to show you the plan. It's very impressive. Very impressive. Yes, sir.
Question on learning curve in the counties in North Carolina where you've introduced the new equipment. Were there any issues related to training or voter experience that just because something is new and different took longer to train, or there were more, hey, what is it? Voters who just said, what's this? And
It's a parallelization from your 200 to 300 groups all the same. All the new functions are in the system. So training's the same, the thumb drive's the same. Ballot box is different. I love the new ballot box. I like the one piece. I like that it's, it's more, it's also a little more stout from bending over and everything. But as far as procedure on this, no. No, that's all I'm saying. That's the positive thing about it. I do like the two-factor authentication. That's going to go really well. We're starting in South Carolina soon. North Carolina will be part of the next circuit. We're at 6,300. I think next goes to 6,350 or 40, and then maybe 6,400 next. ESNS is already up to like.
Okay.
What I recommend though too, some of your DS200s probably have 4 meg thumb drives. What I like to do, even on new sales, see how fast that is?
Yeah.
See how fast that is? Yeah, this past election night, November, I was right about love to have that.
Yeah.
That's real quick. I'll probably recommend, we'll look at this too, maybe keeping an 8 or 16 in stock for high volume one stops. Especially if you have a lot of wide-ins.
Okay.
You don't have to, because a thumb drive can't fill up. So some counties have said, look, if you go ahead and get it now, be done with it, and you don't have to worry about purchasing down the road, you always have it. I just kind of think that's a good idea.
Do you know about how many ballots you can store on a 4 gig?
You'll never run out of it. Even on the 4s, you're not gonna run out. I mean, we're running Mecklenburg County.
Okay,
Well, Mecklenburg County for one stop's on 16th right now.
okay.
Yeah, you're not gonna run out of it. Even the closing procedures there, just not get used to it.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about your shipping and handling estimate? In terms of what happens, you know, you're bringing units in a box truck, I think, right?
Yeah, what happens is we take it a lot further than that. Actually, what's gonna happen, there's 2 processes. One, that ESNS sends the equipment to us. We look at it there, we go through everything there, or we'll have them ship it here. Then our guys are the ones that come in, unbox it, make sure everything looks good and operable before we start getting into everything. So it's our team that comes in and does all the work.
So this charge, does that start with ESNS shipping it to you?
Yeah.
And that's coming from where?
Omaha.
Omaha. And do they drive it, or do they put it on a train, or what?
It's like we've got our trucks too.
Uh-huh.
We don't use a third party shipping company. No, their trucks deliver to us. I mean, we have our trucks too that brings it up to you.
Uh-huh.
We don't do shipping company stuff.
So it's unloaded at your facility, you guys go through the,
Sometimes we'll have shipping bring it directly to you.
uh-huh,
ESNS. It just depends on Glenn's schedule. Sometimes Glenn and his team, you may say it'd be easy for him to have them there, go through everything, unbox them, have them good, then bring them on up.
Mhm.
It just depends on Glenn's schedule usually. There's pluses and minuses to that. One, they can go through it there. It's the same thing. Last year, things were so hectic. We sold the entire state of South Carolina new DS300s and had it installed 3 weeks before the actual election day. And I was on a road trip that had been a PR tour for about 2 weeks, making sure we got everything okay down there. But that was unusual. Well, that's how we did that. But we drop shipped new equipment in this state directly to we had several counties in North Carolina had new express votes last year before the November election. So we did ship those directly there. There we unbox everything there. Usually we have 2 to 3 guys from our team that are there for that day.
Mhm.
It generally doesn't take that long with our team. Those guys are really good. I get out of the way. They're really that good.
One more question.
Sure.
Security of the ballot and voting process is a fairly hot topic. Would it be fair to say if we move to the newer equipment that we could tell our public that we have enhanced the security of the election system in Dare County?
Absolutely. In fact, the brochure I gave you probably has a little bit of information. I think that's one brochure you have about security.
Yeah, it's on the back of,
But yeah, in fact, I can tell folks that are looking at going to the new equipment, you also can go to ESSvote.com. Hey, go to the site. They'll have more information on security. Yeah, it is a more secure machine. Yeah, and the security aspects comes in because of the voting standards going to 2.0. That's the new level the ESC is standardized now for. Yeah, you'd have a more secure machine, absolutely. And just for the fact of having the smart card technology along with opening up the code, right there alone is security. So yeah.
But that smart card is currently not certified.
No, they're working on it now. There's step 1 first, step 2 next. So yeah. Yeah, being the fact that, yeah, that's the ESNS built in, I thought it was a good decision. Also too, we can now also, on the tape now, set the font size.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, for us blind folks that are old, this one has the other, that's what I'll give you that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it does look larger
Yeah,
than.
we can set that now too.
And we can still print multiple tapes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you want. And the same process you have now, say you get 2 tapes. You decide, board member goes and says, I want a copy too. You want to go back in the machine while it's still open, you can reprint another tape.
Okay.
So that process is good for you also. that happen very often. Yeah, you do that also. Extra locks here, as you see, the lock here for the unit is different than the lock down here. I like the fact these are the non-pick locks now. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's another part of not being able to get into the unit. I think that's really one of the cool things we actually came up with the DS300. Again, it goes to precinct just like it does now. I recommend highly to put a seal here. Once you've done your logic and accuracy testing on this, and you're all done, everything's good to go, and you've made sure that you cleared out your vote totals from testing, at that point, put a number seal in here, write the number seal down, so when the election worker, the chief judge is there on election morning, that seal's still on there, and it's the correct number seal. So that process hasn't changed either. Before you had to put seals on the side sometimes too, because they get the lid off.
Yes.
Some people felt better about also adding another seal to it, so you just need the one seal now.
You talked earlier about the election on-site support for Monday, Tuesday, half a day, Wednesday, whatever. So the quote that's in here, is a couple of people, one person or
One
what?
person. Yeah, that price is set by ES&S.
Wow.
Yeah, that covers what it costs. Well, my hotel room last night was expensive.
Yeah.
So, you know, the guys probably end up spending about, on the average, a lot of them come in on Sunday night anyway, depending how far they have to travel. So they're here on Monday morning. Some people don't want us there until midday on Monday. I go to counties sometimes and say, well, I can help you. As people bring equipment in, if you want us to help do that, we can. But yeah, that price is set by ES&S, and it usually covers, that's, the meals of the people, our cost plus ES&S is cut. That's all part of that, but it's expensive, yeah.
So can we go to that website and apply for that job?
Yeah. For me, it's kind of funny for me, it doesn't really, I'm a business manager, account manager for the company. For me, it doesn't really do anything but, pay my hotel room and give me a couple nice meals during the day. I'm here to do a job. Sorry, guys, we do things. It's an interesting, not everybody's cut out to do election day support, that's for sure. We have some very talented people. Owen right now, Owen Andrews, our owner, actually, we have 3 of his children working in the company. 2 are state grads and 1's a Wake grad. Well, he went on to camp to get a law degree. So, and Elliot's been with us now about a year now. He's our human resources manager and our in-house accountant. Owen got tired of paying outside lawyers, so he hired his son away from a Raleigh firm. And I remember Elliot when he was this big. Actually, Chris Andrews is one of our VP of sales and runs our plant in Garner. Great guy. His daughter Kendall is actually now, Kendall is your liaison. If you have a situation that you can call Kendall at any time with the company or questions on things, and she can help you with that with ES&S. She's like our customer service manager now with ES&S. We thought that was a position, she did marketing before, we thought that was a position we need to give extra service level to our customers. So Kim, so we have 3 of the kids, we have 5 generations now, the 5th generation working for the company now. And there is a 6th, he's about this big now. He was only born here about 18 months ago, so there's a 6th generation going on. So. All right, well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Would you like to take like a 5-minute recess?
Yes. Yeah, let's
And
do
give
it.
him time to pack up?
Yeah, let's take a 10-minute recess. And hopefully that'll allow enough time for us to take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right. There we go. I got it on. I'm glad to be back. We just finished a recess and a demonstration of new voting tabulating systems and softwares. The next item on our agenda is our director's report. And Kelly, you want to go ahead and start us with that?
Yes, sir. I've got quite a bit to cover. I'll just run through this pretty quickly. Some highlights of what's been going on in the elections office since we last met in December. The Dare County Board of Elections successfully completed the VTD precinct sort on January the 2nd, 2025. This sorting took about 2 weeks for us. The state board is having their meeting on Wednesday where they will discuss that process being done across the state. And just to clarify what that is for all of the, what we can call admin precincts, so that would be early voting, absentee by mail, provisional, absentee supplemental. All of those are coded by ballot style, but they're done in groups. So on election night, you vote in your precinct, then you know that that's where that voter's history is put. This history is in a group in early voting or in absentee by mail until we go back and sort them into the correct precincts. And so that's a process done after the election. It doesn't affect the votes or the contest results. It is strictly for voter history so that you can accurately, if we have a candidate who says, I want to know how many people voted for me in Duck, we can give them the election day. We can't break down those admin precincts unless we go back in and sort them because they're kind of lumped together as early voting Kill Devil Hills or early voting Manio. So when we sort them, then you get a much more accurate picture of voter history. And so because we code by ballot style, where you have, ballot style 1, ballot style 2, we have to write the precinct on the ballot during early voting, absentee by mail, provisional, and then absentee supplemental. So that's why we do that. We completed a biennial list maintenance on January the 13th. General Statute 163-82.14 requires that a county board run a systematic program to remove from its list of registered voters those who have moved out of the county and to update the registration records of persons who have moved within the county. And a registered voter is removed if the registrant does not respond to a confirmation mailing sent by the county board and does not vote or appear to vote in an election beginning on the date of the notice and ending on the day after the date of the second general election for the United States House of Representatives that occurs after the date of notice. So just so you know, we removed approximately 3,000 registrants who have been what we say inactive since August 10 of 2022. So that was that date. And we did remove approximately 3,000. We also conducted on that same date what we call a no contact mailing. So we sent confirmation cards, which is a card a little bit different than a voter registration card. That card says, we have this address, but we've gotten information from USPS that you live here. Where do you live? There's also a place for you to write in. So they actually can choose box A or box B. There's a place for them to put in a different address. There's also a place to to notify us if the voter is deceased, which could be done by a near relative. So it is a way to make contact and also to update the records to let us know if you've moved out of the county. There's a box for that as well. So we mailed out approximately 2,700 of those mailings. They are sent to active voters from whom a county board's not had contact for 2 congressional general elections. The card is affordable. It's pre-addressed and postage paid. So if they fill it out, sign it, and send it to us, doesn't cost them anything. So we sent out approximately 2,700 of them. And the date of which we had no contact for them so that the system generated that report and who we pulled from was October 14th, 2022. So, at some point, if there's a clock, once you set those cards, print them, a clock starts. And so they've got 30 days to return it. We'll send them another notice. And at that point, they go inactive. And then if they're inactive for a certain length of time, they would move up into that top category of being removed. But as you see, it takes several years of no contact to get there. So, a voter can have no contact for some time and be active, then they can have no contact for some time and be inactive, all the while giving them options that if they were to come in either to the office or to the precinct when they come to present to vote, that is a contact. We can update their information then, and then they wouldn't be removed, or if they were inactive, they would then be changed to active status. The budget. So I have begun preparations to submit the upcoming budget for the next 2 years. The deadline to submit budget requests for Dare County is February the 28th, 2025. So you may want to schedule a closed session meeting between now and then to discuss some of the items that we know that we're interested in, for instance, new equipment. I've put here budget items, including increases, changes, and capital overlay. And that would include like a large purchase, a large amount of money. I will say that in addition to the equipment presentation that we saw today, I am pretty sure that we need to replace the laptops and the printers that we use in every precinct. Half of our precincts, every early voting site. And those are our electronic poll books, and there's a printer attached to each one of them because it prints the ATV. And they usually have a lifespan of about 4 years, so we're there. And so we're looking at 28 laptops, 28 printers. So that's a substantial cost as well. That could run into $30,000 or more to replace those. I have requested a quote from the IT director, so I expect to hear from him soon with a general amount, but keep that in mind that that would be in addition to what other equipment upgrades, and that one is pretty much a must need.
I have a question with respect to the laptops.
Okay.
And what is driving that? What is driving the requirement or the request to replace the laptop?
Technology. So we actually had several printers malfunction and not work. And, thank goodness we had Emily. She ended up going to several precincts on election day, switching out printers for us. But
that's not the laptop. That's
the printer. And then the laptops generally, and that's just sort of an information that I received from the IT support from Dare County that we currently have, who helps us make sure updates are done and that everything's cleaned off prior to us installing the software, that they generally have a life of about 4 years. These laptops are extremely important because the voter history, there's not paper. I mean, there's the paper ATVs, but the voter history is on these laptops. And so you don't want them to, malfunction or, break down with that information on it. So, you do want to keep those up to date. So,
I've experienced failures with laptops that are 2 years old.
right.
So longevity doesn't necessarily guarantee reliability.
No, but if you have to have them, you've got to, it's
No.
better to have, and like I said, I don't know if we want to get on a shorter cycle, that could be something that we could request to get a line item for. And I don't think that's a bad idea, to have an equipment line item possibly that we work into every 2 years. But I can tell you that these we've had, I think, about 4 years. So they're, coming up to really needing to be replaced.
I've used laptops I've had laptops that are, much more than 4 years.
Right.
And still reliable.
Right.
The issue is in my mind, becomes one of equipment obsolescence, whether it's typically the software, if you upgrade the software, it demands more memory, faster processor speeds, et cetera. And that oftentimes drives the requirement to upgrade the hardware. But if the software is compatible with the hardware and the hardware is performing adequately with respect to the speed and memory requirements, then I'm not too sure that 4 years is actually the terminus of serviceable life.
I
on a
think it comes
laptop.
down to risk. This is not,
Mhm.
this is not your laptop that, if it dies, you lose a few pictures or, something. I mean, this is something that becomes critical if it were to malfunction with 13 days of early voting, voter history on it. They need to be optimal, not
Well,
just acceptable.
Let me ask you this, when we go into early voting and we're talking about where a laptop has to be highly reliable in the context of retaining voter history, are we doing any form of backup on those devices during that early voting period?
The information is transferred during early voting. It's transferred every 30 minutes.
Okay, all
So,
right. So
dur-
we run the risk essentially of losing 30 minutes worth of voter history should that laptop fail. Is that correct?
and then the site being down. So when we really don't have any extras either. So that is something else I would like to work in. We currently have just enough and I would like to have a few more. We don't really even have any backups where we
Well,
can switch.
that seems a reasonable requirement, is to have the backup equipment in case of failure.
But you want everything to be the same. If you don't, we've run into, so one of the issues that we had prior to us replacing the laptops and the printers that we have now, which we did with a grant, by the way, was we had multiple types of printers. And so you ran into the printers making copies if they weren't installed. There's
Given we're back to the printers,
identifiers.
and I have really no problem with respect to the printers in terms of lifespan. I think those tend to be the most temperamental pieces of equipment.
So are you saying you don't want to upgrade the laptops at this time?
I haven't come to any decision with
Okay.
respect to that, but I'm just trying to gain clarity into what would drive the requirement to replace.
So
the
on election
current
day, those laptops, which are the same ones that we used during early voting,
Mhm,
we repurpose them. We don't buy extras.
mhm.
So they are, the information is taken off, the audits are done, the new updates are put back on it, updating the voter registration, based off of who has voted during early voting, and they're sent back on election day. Those are standalone. They're not connected
Mhm.
to any kind of internet or network. And so that information at that point is crucial on that laptop. So we want them to be,
But, just going through this, those laptops are in service. If you look at on a year-by-year basis, those laptops are actually turned on and turned off, if you will, for a period of what? Let's be generous and say a month per year? Is that correct?
I mean,
A month per year.
well, last year we
In
had
terms
3
of service.
elections in 1 year.
Okay, so would that be 3 months then, is what we're saying, out of a year?
Right.
Okay.
Give or take. I mean,
Mhm.
possibly 2 months by the time we put the software on. We run the updates. We take the old software off. We run updates. We put
So
the software
maybe
back on.
So perhaps 2 months per year on average.
I'm not sure that activity, whether or not you use a computer every day versus,
Well, if it's off all year, it's not going to fail, correct?
I can't answer that. I don't know that activity,
Well, it's not.
determines whether or not the laptop is going to function the next time you turn it on.
I'm not saying the next time. I'm saying when it's off, it's not failing.
I'm not sure your point.
You're not utilizing the resource if you're not utilizing the resource.
Okay, but I'm not sure your point to replacing. Just because we're not, yeah, I'm not understanding. I apologize.
All I'm saying is that with respect to utilization, typically a piece of machinery intended for a specific purpose in an office typically is used 5 days a week, 8 hours a day or more.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
And that's typically what a laptop is designed to provide, is that kind of a service.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what we're looking at is out of a 12-month period, perhaps 2 months to perhaps 3 months out of the year, it's in use. The rest of the time it sits idle. So in terms of the lifespan of that equipment, I think it's engineered for a higher level of service than what it's being used for.
Okay. Well, I can talk with IT and see if, because it sounds like to me what you're saying is, if a laptop, even over a span of 4 years, only gets used a total of a whole year, then you get to add more years to the lifespan.
Not necessarily. It depends on the software that's being utilized on that machine,
Okay.
right? Because the software, if that software demands more memory than is presently on that machine.
But it's not just whether or not it becomes obsolete, but it's just in general, if it continues to function, they are transported, they take, there's other things, just the wear and tear of it also, can add to the age,
Yeah.
but
If one way to compensate for that would be have the spares available, as opposed to just you having the bare minimum available for use. So there's different ways to slice and dice, and I'm not trying to push one way or the other. I'm just trying to gather information.
Kelly, is there another department that you can think of that utilizes a lot of laptops? I mean, most of them have fixed CPUs and whatnot, that people are not carrying them home. Are there departments where there is high usage of laptops? And what I'm driving at here is, what would the refresh be, the recommendation refresh from like the IT department or even that department that uses them? Do you know who uses?
I think it's about 4 years.
Yeah, but I mean, a department here in Dare County that is a heavy user of laptops.
Well, we all are now. I mean, my computer runs on a laptop.
Okay.
Rebecca's computer is a laptop. Pam may be able to offer a little insight on this, but I mean, I just always understood it was about 4 years.
They used to be on a rotation that we were on, but now we really don't have any PCs anymore. They're all gone to laptops. So everybody uses them, as a regular PC. And, people that work from home, they take them home with them and stuff. So, to the use of it, you really need to talk to Matt about that.
Okay.
He would be the best one to ask.
Yeah. So having said that, what would the IT folks, I mean, I know they like to have the latest and greatest, but what's a reasonable recommendation on refresh as far as time cycle?
That's where I got the 4 years from. I didn't pull that out of my mind. I mean, it was an IT suggestion that after about 4 years, you really, run into the possibility of equipment failure. And so you're weighing the risk. And, like Mr. Janicek said, when it comes to equipment, when it fails, it tends to be at the wrong time because you aren't using it when it's not an election. And so you want to make sure, and that's really what's guiding my recommendation to purchase them, is because, when the keys start jamming up. I've got a couple of laptops that I have to hold the power button down and wait and let it come up. And there seems to be a few lines in the screen. Some of them are starting to really show the wear and tear. You know, they get transported, they get packed, they get open, they get closed, they get, they are handled quite a bit with us and then at the sites. And, I don't feel comfortable continuing to put them out there if there's a chance that, they could fail. And, we have a fantastic IT department. They may be able to recover the data, they may not. And when it comes to backing up things, you have to be careful because everything is guided by statute. So you have to make sure, we do that anyway when we take the information off. I don't know what happens if the information is lost.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, Dare County Schools is probably the largest, institutional body that uses laptops. I mean, when you think about all the kids I think they're still using Chromebooks. I'm not sure about that, but there would be a well of knowledge there about longevity and everything. And the other thing that I wanted to say, since I can't stay out of conversations, apparently, but that it's not simply a matter of the physical artifact aging, it's the electronics, and even whether they're used or not, aging. And so that's where the unreliability comes in. That
agreed.
in my opinion, working with laptops myself, and, I have a mantra, super efficient, semi-reliable, that's kind of, it's kind of depressing, but, I think that there are multiple reasons and it go right along with the handling, the physical handling and moving of the laptops and everything. So, I think.
I know I've had issues before with charging ports going.
Well, the laptops, they're designed to be portable. That's the purpose of the laptop to begin
Yeah.
with, okay?
Yeah.
So the cases are hardened. It just depends on, say,
Yeah.
whether you drop the laptop. And I don't care whether it's a year old, a month old, or a week old. You can drop a laptop and guess what?
It's gone.
You may have a failure,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
The other thing is that the schools, the students tend to use those on a daily basis.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So a little different demands in terms of user
Oh, yeah.
requirements.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't understand the comment about electronics. If the machine is not in use, then the electronics.
Well, here's my take on that, based
Okay.
on tools and everything I've ever used, is we're in a marine environment, highly
Mhm.
corrosive environment.
Mhm.
And I don't know that this is true, but I would assume that has an effect on everything that we use out here. And it's way different than being inland, but that's all right. I mean,
Yeah.
let's
and-
move on here.
Okay.
Okay, I will try to get more clarification from Matt Hester. He's the director of IT. I did send him an email for a quote, but I'll go back and see if he can offer some more in-depth guidance on whether or not he really feels like this is the time. And again, if we were in the middle of a budget cycle, I might not would recommend it. I'd say, okay, let's wait. But it's budget time, and so you're also thinking about the right time to do something, even if it is a little bit premature. Now's the time. Moving on. As we heard a little bit about earlier today in the presentation, the Unity software, that is our election management and our election reporting software that we use. It is being phased out or decertified. And so regardless of any other thing that we purchase, we have to upgrade that software. We don't have to upgrade it to the latest and greatest version. And then that would force us to buy the upgraded ADA compliant, the Express Vote machine. But we do have to upgrade at least to that version 5240.
Kelly, that is mandated by the state Board of Elections,
Yes.
correct?
That's correct.
Right.
And so that is a cost. And we are one of 15 counties in the state that are still currently using the version of Unity that is being decertified or phased out. And so on January 23rd, I will participate in a Teams meeting with the other 14 counties and some representatives from the State Board of Elections. I have a feeling Karen will be on at least part of the time. Neil Bador is a SST at the state, and he is also going to be on that. And what they're going to discuss is, first of all, they're going to go into more detail on why we have to upgrade. And then secondly, what we have to do at the county level once we upgrade to new equipment. And that would include software. So even if we did not get physical pieces like the scanners, the tabulators, or the Express Vote ADA compliant machine, just the software alone would require that we do some things as part of the certification process. And that's all those documents that I emailed to you, and also you have copies of. There's a numbered memo. And we can talk about that more in depth as I schedule these steps. Just know that they're coming. Even again, if we don't purchase anything else, we've got to do this workstation upgrade. So we satisfied one portion of having a demonstration. We also have to have a demonstration from another vendor. It has to be one of the ones that the state approves. There's a video that we can watch. So as I have this Teams meeting, I'll be able to come up with a more concise timeline of when we have to take care of these things and the steps. But, I would just encourage you to read that material in the meantime so that we're all on the same page. So, and more than likely, it'll be a video demonstration you'll watch from Hart Verity, like is another certified company. And then I believe we have to do a public demonstration. And then we also have to do an assimilated election. Now, one of the other things that they offer is that you can test it during an election. And so that would be something if we wanted to just get an ADA compliant machine, and then our next election, we would just test that in one precinct, for instance. But we're at a different place at this point because we have to upgrade software, meaning that we have to use it in all precincts. And so there's not time to do testing in just one unless we were to have two stations, one just for the new software, one for the old. And it's my understanding that by the summer, we're not even going to be able to use Unity. So that's not in time for the municipal. So that being said, what we're going to have to do is something called a simulated election, where we basically have a in-house mock election. I don't know all the details to that. I'll learn more in this Teams meeting.
That would look like a logic and accuracy
I think,
test,
I
right?
have a feeling it's going to look a lot like that.
Mhm.
So I'm not too worried about it. It's just, trying to figure out exactly what they want from us and then implementing it. And I'll let you know, again, I'm sure it's in that literature too, of your part in it. But I'll be in touch. I did not get a quote from Prentelect for the workstation. He said that he would work on that. I will send him a follow-up email, but he did say somewhere around $5,000 to $6,000. Another thing that we're going to discuss in this Teams meeting is the opportunity for some grant money. And so, again, I have very little detail. I'll know more after the meeting, but it may be that we can secure grant money for that, being that it is basically a requirement. We're being forced to do it. And so it could be that we can upgrade at least to the 5240 version of the software, and then we don't have to necessarily spend any more money on anything else. We can use all the equipment that we currently have. So it's a possibility that's one option, is that we upgrade. If we can secure the grant money, we don't pay anything necessarily out of pocket or out of our budget. I will let you know more about that in the coming days. I think I've already said this, but just to let you know, there's only 30 counties in the, actually in the country that use the current version of Unity, and 15 of them are in North Carolina. And the state has said that because it's such a large amount and we're all doing it at one time, that they are planning to help support us, and that they're going to be a little bit more hands-on, which I think is going to be good, being that there's so many counties doing it at one time versus counties that kind of do it one at a time at their budget or whatever. They're going to be a little bit more involved, I think, since there's so many of us doing it at that time. So I think that's great. We'll be able to kind of pull on those resources. So any questions? Anything that you want me to ask? If you think about something, you have till the 23rd at 10 a.m. You can shoot me an email. Okay, so moving on.
Quick
Oh,
question,
sorry.
because you had mentioned doing a closed meeting for budget purposes and so on. So that would really have to follow this meeting
Yes,
you're talking about.
I would think so. Yeah. Then I can, I have a meeting at 2:00 with the budget auditor and finance, and then also this meeting on the 23rd. My meeting is at 2:00 today, and I think I'll have a lot more knowledge about how things are going to run. This is my first time doing a budget, and I really had no time from August to now to even look at my line items, to look at past history spending. So I've got a lot of catching up to do in a little bit of time. So I'm going to try to get as educated as I can so that I can help, answer your questions. But I would say sooner rather than later for a closed session, but definitely wait till after the 23rd. And also, if you guys have any questions, please email me, because, while I'm talking with, finance and the state, I can get those questions answered, hopefully. Moving on. So the state board has dismissed all the protests filed by Jefferson Griffin, and that was the North Carolina Supreme Court justice candidate. The Griffin protest is being appealed in both the state and the federal courts. The state Supreme Court has stopped the North Carolina State Board of Elections from issuing a certification for that contest, temporarily at least, while this litigation is ongoing. We were advised of some potential outcomes, so I just wanted to kind of relay those to you. So one of them being that the courts can affirm what the North Carolina State Board did in dismissing these protests. The State Board would certify the election, and that's kind of the end of it. Second option, and this is when we hope it doesn't happen, is we have a new election. So if a court decides we shouldn't have allowed those people who didn't have a driver's license or a social in their registration record to vote, then in order to treat all voters the same, one possibility would be to have another election. And again, the reason would be you can't just pull those votes, because while you can access the early voting or the absentee by mail, the election day, there's no identifiers. And so in order to be fair across the board, you would need to have another election. And then a third option, which is based on legal counsel from the state, less likely, is that a court decides that the other candidate wins, because we're just going to pull out those ballots. And I'm not even sure how they would implement that. So we're going to wait and see how this plays out. The state board has said they are monitoring this very closely, and they are going to keep us up to date. I wanted to let you know that I have updated the Dare County website with a link that will allow registered voters who have gotten a letter in the mail, or they've been told or seen that their name was on one of these protest lists. They can click on that. It takes them to the state, and there's language there explaining the protest. We are getting calls, more so, less about people who received the letters, because that was earlier on, but they're finding their names are on the list. So what we're doing is we're giving them a brief explanation of the likely reason why their name's on the list. Most of the time we'll pull them up in voter view, and we can kind of tell them exactly. Most of them, it is because they're missing driver's license and social, and that could have been for various reasons, anything from operator error, but more than likely it's because they just didn't provide it on the form. It wasn't required. We're trying to answer any questions that they may have. And then we are also providing them with the steps to go ahead and update their registration. So while we're telling them that, we may not be able to give them an answer just yet about this pending litigation, we're trying to go ahead and have their registrations updated. And so we are offering to send them a registration form with a self-addressed envelope. So it is much easier for them. They fill the form out. It doesn't cost them anything to return that registration form. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible to get those registrations updated and, at least alleviate any potential problems with their registration moving forward. New legislation. Senate Bill 382 was enacted into law. It's Session Law 2024-57. Parts of it are subject to lawsuit, but is currently the law. And per the state, these bullets that I'm going to read to you are the most poignant, I think, for affecting us. This law moves the governor's appointment power for the election boards to the state auditor. So on May 1st, the auditor appoints all 5 members of the state board to 4-year terms. On May 15th, the state board will appoint an executive director for a 2-year term. On June 24th, the state board will appoint the 4 board members for each county, and the auditor will now appoint the chair. So that, and then board members will be sworn in July 22nd, county board members. So that moves that chair appointment from the governor to the auditor. And so that is a party change. So, there is some potential for changes to be made in the board makeup because of that, the state and the county level, potentially even the executive director. So we don't know, but we do know that authority has been given to the state auditor now. So I did want to make you guys aware of that. It is subject to a lawsuit. So there's a lawsuit going on. So again, we'll wait and see if anything changes, but that is the timeline for now. So parts that were enacted, parts of the law that are not subject to lawsuit, and these are the things that will most affect staff and also the board when it comes to actual election processes. So the deadline for missing information on a voter registration form is noon the Friday after Election Day. So that's now 2.5 days rather than the 9-day canvass prior to canvass period that we had before this law. It does require the use of the state board's voter assistant log at the polling places. We were already doing this, but I think some counties may have created their own log. So this voter assistance log is, the law is just requiring uniformity. That one doesn't really affect us. That's not an issue for us. And that voter assistance log, just to kind of clarify, is if you're not there to vote, you're there to assist someone. There is a log that they want you to complete if you're there assisting a voter for, the reasons, qualifying reasons, disability, if they're illiterate, they can't read, something like that. So there is a log that's been in place for some time now. We send them out to the precincts. We've not had any issues in the implementation of that. The deadline to cure a HAVA ID is noon on Friday after Election Day. The deadline to return your photo ID is noon on Friday after Election Day. And again, these timelines are just getting pushed up. This is a big one. All provisional ballots must be counted by 5 p.m. on the Friday after Election Day. So this drastically cuts down how much time that we have to do our research on those provisionals. The day before canvass is what we had. Yeah. So we went from 9 days to 2.5, 3.
Okay.
This compression, I mean, in my opinion, it just drives us to another staff member. I mean, that's.
Sure.
There's no other way to deal with this.
Right.
Time compression.
Yeah. And yeah. The deadline to request absentee ballot is 2 weeks before Election Day. That used to be a week before Election Day. And the sickness disability exception starts 2 weeks before Election Day too. So, you're losing a week. The voters are losing a week to request. Now it cuts off 2 weeks instead of 1. Absentee cures are due noon on Friday after Election Day. This was moved up from the day before canvass, so they have less time to cure the absentees. All Election Day absentees must be counted on Election Day night in an ongoing meeting that the county board will have to stay in session to count and approve all those absentee ballots right then and there. So that's a big one that affects you as well. So election night, you guys are here and you keep a continuous meeting, because if an absentee ballot walks in the door at, 7:28, you've got to be there to count it. So no more supplemental meetings for civilian absentee ballots. They are all done on election night. And so that takes us to the supplemental absentee meeting. That now will only be permitted for UOCAVA ballots. So those uniformed overseas military or uniformed voters. And we'll still have to adopt a resolution to set that supplemental meeting like we've done in the past, but we will not count any civilian ballots at that supplemental meeting. Absentee ballot tallies must be announced at 5 p.m. 3 days after Election Day. I don't know what that looks like. I'm hoping that the state will give us some guidance on just exactly how they want us to do that. If it's something as simple as a website that we plug it in and they put it out for us, or if we have to do some formal announcement in a meeting, we'll see. And just so you know that this law became effective January 1, 2025. So it's here, and it's current. So what this means for us, a lot of work that was done in the 10-day canvass period has now been compressed into 2 to 3 days after election night. This is going to push back post-election sample audits and other post-election processes that we normally tend to do in those 2 to 3 days right after election. Another big one behind the scenes is voter history. We immediately start working on voter history, try to make sure everything lines up and that, we're accounting for all the different categories when it comes to voter history. And all of that's going to possibly have to be pushed back a little bit because our focus is going to be absentees and provisionals. And the greatest impact is going to be in a general election, in a midterm, and then, of course, a presidential. That's when we're really going to get hammered. We had, almost 200 provisionals, and it took us right up to the wire to get those all done. And so the idea of doing them in 3 days is pretty daunting, or less than 3 days, actually. There's just too much to get done in a 2.5, 3 day period after the election. And, again, I'm sure that the state will do their best, but at the end of the day, these things are required by law, so they've got to be done. And so, we're talking about being stretched super thin. And so, when we talk about one other thing for the budget would be to propose for a third full-time staff member. I have written up a draft proposal for that, and I've submitted it to Skip to kind of look over, and then the rest of the board after that. And that is one of the things that I put in was new legislation, and then ever-changing legislation. It's constantly adding. I mean, things that got added in 24 kind of put some hardships on us, and then now this is just, adding to. It just keeps piling on. And so, that is a great justification to have another person. So even though this type of stuff may not be as heavy for a municipal, having that third full-time staff get trained, get acclimated, so that we're all ready when it does get heavy the workload. So I hope that you guys will support us in that as well. I don't have much left. Staff time off is kind of the last thing. I also, something I didn't put up here was the summer conference, but first I'll just kind of touch on time off. Rebecca's going to be out of the office from February 11th through the 25th. And then I'm planning to be off the 26th through the 14th for medical reasons. I'm actually hoping to maybe get back to work on the 7th from home. So I'll be accessible. I'll still be working. I may not be in the office, but we've tried to kind of time it so that I'm here when Rebecca won't be, and then she'll be here. So we will do everything within our power to maintain staff in the office. And then also we have requested a floater to kind of fill in the gaps as well. So, but I did kind of want to make you guys aware of that. If for any scheduling meetings or anything that you may want to do. The summer conference. The registration has opened, and so if you want to get with me, I will actually what I'll do is I'll email you guys the dates because I thought I had it written here and I don't, so I apologize. But that is going to be in Wilmington, and it's in July. And so the hotel block, they released a couple months ago, and it completely filled up at the actual convention center. And but they have opened up some other hotels. So it's not required unless you need to meet that requirement for board members. I have to go. Rebecca is going to go. It'll be her first big conference. But if any of you are interested, please get with me. There is an early bird for registration. It does take a little bit, about $50 off of the registration fee. And then I can let you know what hotels they are saying have a little bit of a discounted rate. But you may have to drive a certain distance if you're interested. But I would say kind of sooner rather than later if you want to go, because things are filling up. Not necessarily the registration, but places to stay. But that is, and I will email everyone. I apologize, I didn't put that on the director's report. There is one more conference, and that's my last thing, is, and this is just for staff, but we will go to an NCADE conference, March the 23rd through the 25th in Durham. So we will plan to have the floater. Hopefully it's just Monday and Tuesday. We'll leave on Sunday, spend the night. We have a conference on Monday and then a part of Tuesday, and then we'll come home. And that's all I have. That was a lot. Sorry. And if you guys have any questions about, especially the legislation, I've kind of told you what I know. But if you have any questions, shoot me an email. I can move it up to the state. In regards to board appointments or things like that.
All right. Kelly, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And that was very thorough, which I appreciate so much. I really don't have a lot here. I just wanted to say to everyone that we will be having a budget workshop. And in the budget workshop, we'll be talking about what we usually talk about when we have such a thing in terms of line items that are part of daily operations, as well as capital expenses on equipment and whatnot. We'll talk about a proposed full-time position in our office, and we have gobs of reasons that support that, and we hope that we can make it clear to our commissioners that this is the right thing to do. And I would also appreciate it if anybody, since we don't know exactly when we're going to have this meeting, if any of you all have really critical things coming up in your own lives, if you want to send me a little note, let me know what those are. And, I'll try to steer things. Kelly and I will try to steer things to the best advantage, because we want everyone's input on that. That's going to be important. Your voice is really a critical part of what we do, and this will be a big deal because it'll carry the board for 2 years. So, there you have it. The last thing that I have has to do with our director, and I'm going to stay here at the microphone so this can be heard. But we went through an epic election in every way last fall. Everyone did, actually. But Kelly, as I told the commissioners, you put that election on your back and you carried it over the goal. And we can't know the extent of the strain on you and your family and the sacrifices that you made to be able to make our election in Dare County work. But I want everyone in Dare County to know that what you did was exemplary. And our board gives you its deepest and heartfelt thanks for your effort and for the results. We had a very, very good election, thankfully, and we followed you. You carried the ball, and you did your usual professional, thorough job of getting it done. And I have to say, I've worked with many professionals in my life, but you're like in the top 5 of anybody I've ever worked with. And our board wants to thank you with a gift certificate to your favorite restaurant, so you and Casey can go out and have a nice dinner. And I'll pass this to you after our meeting, but we really appreciate you, Kelly. And we're so fortunate to have you as our director.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
It's been a pleasure working with all of you, so thank you very much.
and we understand we're tedious sometimes, but
Because I think that's good, because then together, we're all working on it. We're on the same team, we're all working for the same thing, transparent, fair,
Yep.
secure elections, and I'm okay with that. So, questions, fire away. If I don't know, I'll find out.
yeah.
We'll work it out together. Thank you. That really means a lot. Thank you to all of you.
Anybody else have anything you want to add to that?
Just top-notch job. Thank you.
I would echo the remarks of our colleagues. A great job under great pressure. And it's so nice to know the legislature is going to make it easier for you.
That's great. Thank you.
We can thank lawyers for that.
Anybody else have anything? You guys good?
Thank you, Kelly.
All right. I don't have any other business, and seeing that we've covered a lot today, we'll be in touch about our budget meeting, okay? So everybody keep that in mind. Send me a note if you've got something where you're going to be missing in action, and we'll try to steer around that. We'll do the best we can with that, okay? It's nice to be with everybody again in the new year. Since we don't have anything else, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.